So welcome back to another episode, and I like to do this once in a while where I grab a very nostalgic video game magazine from my childhood and go through it again with you guys because it is so fascinating and so nostalgic and so incredible to check out some of this stuff. And this is the Electronic Gaming Monthly from September 1991. It was the introduction of the Mega CD, the Super Nintendo had just come out, and the NES was still producing games, and the TurboGrafx was on the scene as well. It's just amazing to check out, so let's go through it. Yeah, it blows me away when I'm looking through this magazine that NES games were still coming out in 1991. I don't know why that shocks me so much. It's because we were introducing such next generation hardware, but the NES was so strong that games were still coming out for it. Unbelievable. Games like Shatterhand, got a review of 8888, very nice. Unbelievable. Basis Loaded 3 did not score so well. 4, 5, 4, and 3. This was also the introduction of the Super Nintendo. And look at this. This is a wonderful thing to see. ActRaiser, which is a wonderful game on the Super Nintendo. One of the very first launch games. In Electronic Gaming Monthly, 9,999 for a score. And I agree with that score. The game was really that good. And right next to it is Super R-Type. And that gets a score of 8, 8, 8, and 8. And I agree with that. I remember the big games were, renting Super R-Type and playing it and going, God damn it, this is better than the TurboGrafx version, which at the time, the TurboGrafx version of R-Type was, something else. But here, this is funny. The Super Nintendo in the beginning, everybody was so excited about it that even games that were pretty average at best were getting incredible scores. Here, Pilot Wings was getting a score of 8, 7, 8, and 8. I don't really know if that game deserved that. I was never a huge fan of it, but you did have to appreciate the Mode 7 scrolling. That's what I think everybody was going on about back then. How was the Genesis doing? Renovation was releasing some games. Arcus Odyssey, a game that is kind of average, gets a score of 5, 8, 8, and a 6 at the end. And wow, look at this. We still got Gameboy games coming out. We had TurboGrafx games coming out. Parasol Stars. Castlevania 2 is on the Game Boy. And the Lynx had Turbo Sub. The Atari Lynx was another handheld device. And look at this. We have an advertisement for R-Type right here on the Game Boy and R-Type on the Super Nintendo. Here's a section of the magazine that I always enjoyed. International Outlook. And look at this here. They got some, they're showing some Mega CD games that we never got over here, and I would have loved to have gotten. Nostalgia, 1907. I don't even know anything about that game. I always remember looking at the screenshots going, wow, it's like an interactive whodunit on a ship. I really liked that, and I thought that'd be so cool to solve a mystery and have cool cinematics and all that, but we never got that game. Obviously down below we have Lunar. We did get Lunar, and Lunar was a really great game. Oh, so I gotta cut right down to the bottom there. Ernest Evans, I love it, by Wolf Team. I did a whole review on Ernest Evans, and Jesus, it wasn't quite the game that we wanted it to be, but it's still, a part of history. And I love it at the bottom. It says, this one could make it to the US. Well, it did, in cartridge form and not on the Mega CD form. Oh, look at this. This is one that I always remember, too. By Wolf Team, Mega CD-ROM for Japan, Faria. And let me just read this here. Sega and its licenses are jumping into heavy-duty RPGs immediately. This one features a monstrous quest, the length of which has never been attempted to date. I used to love hearing things like that back in the day. Unfortunately, it's all in Japanese, and any US version would require massive amounts of translation. Great voice BGM soundtracks add to the already superb game. We never got Faria. Ever. We never got that, unfortunately. Big advertisements here for Dragon Warrior 3 and ActRaiser, both coinciding at the same time, which is unreal. Oh, I gotta show you guys. This is so awesome. This is so awesome. Keeping it portable was tough until now. And they got this kid right here. And does anybody ever remember having the Game Boy and you had reflectors and magnifiers and speakers and all that? It really wasn't portable. It was ridiculous. And it goes, keeping it portable was tough until now. And look, it has this huge case. How portable is that when you got to carry around a huge case with you? It's unreal. Who would have ever thought about like cell phones and DSs that we have now? But this is so classic. Oh my god. This for the Game Boy. I love this. I gotta give a bit of renovation love here. Gary's is #1. I've always pronounced it I guess it's Gary's? Because back in the 80s, early 90s, nobody had the internet, so we pronounced things our own fucking way. And I know I pronounce things all sorts of crazy ways. So Gary's is #1, Gary's. People, the comments are like, it's Gary's! And I'll be like, yeah, sorry about that. But it's #1. Just remember that, folks. A great shooter, a really good shooter. And here's a game that I never got a chance to play that I always wanted to. Roland's Curse on the Game Boy. I never was able to get this, but I always really loved the artwork. I thought the artwork was fucking amazing back then. There were so many Street Fighter clones, and here's one. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. And that's Street Smart on the Genesis by Treco. And you gotta love this section, Turbo Champ, for the Turbo graphics. This sounds weird. I'm gonna bring this up here. This is a weird thing to bring up. The one thing that always upset me about this section is that the screenshots were not really that good. I think that maybe these were sent by Turbo Technologies back in the day, but the screenshots were really, really bad. They were such low resolution. They weren't doing a good job selling the games in the magazine. And hey, this is a magazine. It was all about prints. You needed really beautiful pictures, and they were so small and grainy for the TurboGrafx. But look at that. It's showing East 3, Valis 3, a magical dinosaur tour. Some other great section here showing Silent Debuggers. So Silent Debuggers is a game on the TurboGrafx that I really wanted it to be good, but it wasn't. I just never could. I like the whole idea of it. It was kind of like an aliens type of adventure game, going down corridors, but it just never really resonated with me. Oh, here we go. So here, this is kind of interesting. Next Generation Now. The TurboGrafx CD-ROM for $299. Jesus Christ. I love it. It goes, TurboGrafx 16 sold separately. Can you imagine? This is in fucking 1991. Just say $300 for the TurboGrafx add-on, just to play CD-ROMs on your TurboGrafx. TurboGrafx sold separately. Wrap your head around that one. That's nuts. The Turbo Booster, $34. Turbo Tap, so you can play with multiple people, $19. The Turbo Express handheld, $299. Wow. It's amazing to look back on. It really is. It's something else. More in-depth look with Super R-Type. God, that game was so good. I really want to go back and play Super R-Type again. It's been so many years. Oh, the nostalgia is deep with this one. F-Zero. God, one of the early launch titles for the Super Nintendo. What a wonderful game that was. And it's just so neat to see it. This is when it first came out, and they're talking about it. That's so cool. Oh, here you go. I always used to love these little ads for where you could buy the games back then. This is Chips and Bits. Buy 2, get 1 free. Oh my god, it's showing Might and Magic. That's just disgusting. And Spider-Man on the Genesis and Shining in the Darkness. And speaking of Shining in the Darkness, here's a game that I really tried to love this game. Look at this. Looks really nice, doesn't it? They do a really good job previewing it. It's a game I really wanted to get into, but I couldn't get down with it. That should have been another one for RPGs I tried to like. I really tried to like Shining in the Darkness. I just couldn't get with it. One of the best video game stores at the time, Die Hard Game Club. Gotta love them. You could buy CDs off them, which was like a really big deal. So yeah, this is a highlight moment from Electronic Gaming Monthly, September 1991. I love looking through these magazines and thinking back to my childhood when I played these games and was introduced to all which were the next generation systems at that time. It's funny to look back on now and how now it's nostalgic, but back then it just was the way things were. It was video gaming in 1991, and it was a good time, let me tell you. So anyways, guys, until next time.